Welcome, college football fans. This is the Field of 12 After Dark show. I am Trevor Knight along with Christian Hackenberg from Penn State and the beautiful Bryce Petty from Baylor University. It is bowl season, gents. We are right here on the cusp of entering into bowl mania. I hope that everyone out there has started to fill out their brackets and do all of their research as we get into this wonderful season with the holidays and a lot of good football going on. Bryce, Christian, how we guys doing today?
Pretty damn good, partner.
I'm doing fantastic, especially after the intro, man. You inspired me here. I'm fired up, sipping some Busch Light.
You guys have a little bit of a grin on your face. It's always good to see, especially on a Thursday. Normally we see you guys on Saturday evenings, but with the bowl schedule, here we are on a Thursday night after dark, and we are going to be running through all the bowl games, or at least a good portion of them, giving some thoughts and certainly walking through the lines that Bet Rivers, our title sponsor, has provided for us. But before we get into that, Bryce and I did this on our show. We just kind of gave a little insight to our experiences of what bowl season was like during our playing days, how fun it is, how not fun it is, what the schedule looks like, and then we talked about some of the bowl games that we got to play in. So I'll have you start, Hack. Give the listeners what does bowl week at Penn State look like? You're finishing up finals. Are they already done? And then what are some of the memorable bowl games that you guys played in and some of those fun memories?
Yeah. So obviously my career, my first year, we were not allowed to participate in bowls. So my last 2 years, the ability to have that was great. The one thing that I always say that I think super valuable for any team that makes it to bowls is the amount of practices you get. You basically get a miniature spring ball thrown in there. So that's the one thing I loved. Had a lot of time to prepare for your opponent. Had a lot of extra reps that were out there for a lot of guys. You kind of slow things down, teach it. It just gave you a lot of time to do self-scout, self-reflection, and really put together a solid, usually unique game plan heading into that game based upon what you did well throughout the season. So for me, that's what I love most. You didn't have to worry about going to class. It was usually just you and the guys, and it kind of shifted in more to a pro schedule from the sense that it's all football. So I think it's valuable for programs. And like I said, from my experiences, I loved it because you just got to get consumed by it. And it was a good change of pace from the regular schedule and regular season thought process. So for bowls and that's what I love most from it. And I think, I'm sure you guys share a lot of the same. I didn't get the chance to listen to your insights, but I'm sure, we're all pretty like-minded guys. So I'm sure that you guys share a lot of it.
That's weird.
Right, so I support you, bud.
We take time out of our day, Trevor and I do, to listen to you guys. That's weird. Okay, that's understandable.
Yeah, someone's got to pay the bills,
Yeah, that duck flying. There's a lot of time, when it's 60 degrees and ducks are not flying, to watch some of that. But it's fun. It's fun. What were the two bowls that you guys played in, Hack?
My sophomore year, we played in the Pinstripe Bowl. Yankee
New York,
Stadium.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah.
Was that that wasn't the West Virginia? No. Who
played Boston College?
Okay, that was my second choice. And then who did you guys play?
Okay.
The junior year.
And then my junior year, we played Georgia in the Tax Slayer Bowl down in Jacksonville. Beautiful Jacksonville,
nice.
Florida.
Yeah, Georgia country. Did you guys intermingle a little bit at a few of the bars?
To be honest with you, I wasn't of age ever, so I couldn't really participate
still not of age,
in
Hack.
bars. Yeah, I just barely got there. But no, my experience is we stayed separate for the most part. But New York was Coach Franklin was really, he kept us kind of on task and in hand. We had a couple nights at the beginning where we had some freedom and flexibility, but then it was pretty much, it was a business trip, and that's how he kind of ran things. So, I wish I didn't get a ton of flexibility, but
yeah,
I think our defense took a few boosts in Phoenix at the Fiesta Bowl. Defense had a rough one in 2013.
Yeah.
So
yeah, these things happen.
Not that I'm blaming it on our defense, but I'm blaming it.
That did sound like a sellout and a Judas, but I'm not gonna.
That's a sellout. But I think you guys are right. I think we all had a similar experience with just, during bowl practice, you get a lot of reps. Young guys get reps. You're kind of a pro for the first time because classes are over. You just get to focus on ball and then go get extra film work in, or go get extra treatment in, or go sit on the couch and not have to worry about studying or anything like that. I got to play in 5 bowl games in my 5 years, and we only won one of them. We won the Sugar Bowl my redshirt freshman year against Alabama, but my true freshman year, we lost to Johnny Manziel after his Heisman campaign in the Cotton Bowl. My redshirt sophomore year, we lost to Clemson in the Russell Athletic Bowl. My junior year, we lost to Clemson again in the college football playoff in the Orange Bowl. And then we lost to Kansas State my senior year in the Texas Bowl. So not a great way to ring in the new year. Bowl games are an opportunity for teams to kind of get some momentum going into the off season, right? And we weren't able to do that except for that 1 year. But we did mingle one time, Hack, to your point there, where you guys really didn't mingle. We had a luncheon at the Cotton Bowl, and Bryce and I were talking about this the other day. They would bring up both quarterbacks of both teams, and it was kind of like a little raffle deal. There's really nice china and tablecloths set up in a whole room of people. And so that year it was Landry Jones, who was our starter, and then Johnny Manziel, who had just won the Heisman. So they hand you like this really slick ball, and they ask these guys to throw that ball to the winner of whatever the raffle was, or whatever it was like that. So Johnny reenacts, one of his Heisman moments on stage, rolls out like, where he kind of lost the ball and then rolls back out and chunks this thing like he's hitting Mike Evans across the center. It comes up short, and china, plates, all this stuff just shattered everywhere. And he just simply walks back to his seat, and everybody cheers like it was no big deal. But other than
Texas money, man.
That's right. Other than the banquets, we didn't do much, mixed matching either. Bryce, what about you and your experiences, man?
No, I think that, I tell you what, Fiesta Bowl and Cotton Bowl were a lot of fun in terms of the games that I played in. But I just remember, Fiesta Bowl was just such a great event. They just do such a good job. And it's something, Cotton Bowl was great as well. But, something about being in Scottsdale and like I told you, practicing for a bowl game is just different because that's all you have. And then, Trevor, you and I were talking about, you got hospitality suites, and you have, man, it's just a cool deal. Especially when you kind of take the locker room out of the locker room, and you get guys that probably don't normally hang out, getting to hang out. And that's cool. And that's what I was telling, Trevor, is that, Laquan McGowan, never forget, man, Laquan McGowan was our left tackle / tight end / fullback / WWE wrestler. Man, we used to give Laquan a 30-pack just to sit at the door and kind of be the bouncer at like our parties and stuff. And this dude would knock out a 30-pack like it was nothing. But Laquan was 6'8", 400 pounds, but was one of the most athletic dudes I've ever been around. But, I was telling Trevor, though, dude was a killer on the ping pong table, like slapping this thing around, looking like Forrest Gump. But the best part was when the ball went off the table, how pissed he would get that he'd have to bend over and go get the ping pong ball. It was so funny. I almost thought of, it almost looked like it should have been like a Napoleon Dynamite, where he's got the tater tots in his pocket. Like he went to go grab about 8 ping pong balls just to put in his pocket. So, but bowl games are fun, man. They're a good time. It's a lot better when you win. Get to cap off a great season. I went 0 for 2 at bowl games, so not that I'm bitter, but it sucks. But it was a good time, a lot of fun.
Good. Yeah. Well, hopefully that gives you guys a little insight to bowl games, and there is certainly a game at the end that's serious, but there's some fun to be had leading up to it. But gents, let's dive into these games. We got a lot of them to roll through. We'll talk about them a little bit, and certainly, talk about the lines here with the betting with Bet River Sportsbook. But let's start with the New Year's Six Bowls here. First and foremost, the granddaddy of them all. In the Rose Bowl this year, we have the Ohio State Buckeyes facing off against Utah. Two teams that, were kind of in the hunt there in not only the playoff race at the end, but certainly the race to their conference title, and came up short. Obviously, Ohio State losing to Michigan, but then Utah losing in the Pac-12 championship game. So what do you guys think on this one? As of right now, Bet Rivers has Ohio State as a 6.5-point favorite, but they think it's going to be a high-scoring game at 67 points. Thoughts here, gentlemen?
Hack, you go, buddy.
Yeah. We highlighted this game in my podcast this week, and I really feel that this is a great opportunity for Ohio State. As a team, I think that they are very upset, and as a program, with the way that Michigan game transpired. And just having experience with how that program carries themselves and how they handle business, they're going to be a very motivated football team. The talent they have, especially on the offensive side of the ball, is very deep, as long as none of these guys opt out. And I really look forward to them coming out and playing with a much larger purpose than they really have all year. To your point, Trevor, about how important these games are propelling the program into the off season. I think they have a great, obviously a fantastic quarterback, Heisman finalist this year, going to be a front runner next year heading into the season. So I really look for Ohio State to come out motivated. And then for Utah, I think they're going to present some challenges. I think defensively they're tough. They can run the football, and that's been something that's really plagued Ohio State throughout the season, is just physical teams up front in the trenches who can really grind out those tough yards and win the time of possession, keep the ball out of that explosive offense's hands. But, ultimately, I like Ohio State in this one. I think, like I said, I think they're going to come out pissed off. They're going to come out motivated. And I know Ryan Day's been preaching that since the Michigan game. And there's a lot of time in between then and this one, this kickoff, for them to really come out, have a good, solid game plan, and put those guys in positions to be super successful.
Bryce, do you think that CJ Stroud and the rest of that Ohio State group, obviously their hopes were dead set on winning the Big Ten and having a chance to go and play in the college football playoff? What is it like kind of coming off of what they think would be a letdown and going to this game mentally? Do we see a CJ Stroud that's going to come out firing because he's got money to make in the future? Or is it just a letdown across the board?
No, I mean, I think, to Hack's point, they're going to be pissed off. And look, they got a young team. I think outside of the receiving core, you don't have a whole lot of guys that are going to be looking to opt out. I think you got to have a lot of guys that are looking to kind of, right the Michigan wrong, settle on a stamp for the season, because they played a hell of a year. I mean, outside of Oregon and Michigan, I mean, those are two, quality losses, if you want to say that. And I know that Oregon is just, I think they lucked into that win, but still, I think CJ Stroud's a heck of a guy. going to be a really good quarterback for a couple of years until he does go pro. I don't think it has anything to do with the money now. I think it's more or less of having and Hack. Do you know if Olave and Wilson are playing? Are they playing this game?
That's what I said. I haven't heard anything from them.
Okay.
And that was my point of prefacing, as long as they don't have anyone opting out. But
yeah.
I can definitely see them playing. Like I said, I think even with Olave coming back this year in the first place, I think he's got some unfinished business to attend to, and I think that's the way that he's approached this season, and I think he'll finish it on a high note personally.
Right. Yeah. No, 100%. That's what it is. It's sending those guys out right. They've done a lot for the program. It's CJ Stroud. That's something that as an underclassman, probably both of you guys can attest to that way more than I can, about sending the senior leadership out, to the best of your ability. When you distribute the football, when you got running backs and receivers and tight ends that are leaving, you want to send those guys out on the note that they came in at, and that thought process of leaving it better than you found it. There's just so much that rolls in to, and I could kind of speak a little bit in terms of the High Bowl for us in 2012 at Baylor. That win against UCLA, there was so much momentum that came out of that win into next year. So this is not like, and I hope fans understand that this is a big deal. Like, bowl games are a big deal. That's why I really hate that guys opt out. I understand that there's certain things, from a personal stance, going into the league, that you have to make that decision. But there's so much momentum that comes out of these wins into next year. And so I really think Ohio State is going to put a stamp on this game, in the Rose Bowl, knowing that they, didn't do what they needed to do to get in and make the playoff. But at the same time, too, Utah is they're stout now, especially the last half of the season when you need to get hot. Their defense is playing really well. And then Cameron Rising is a quarterback that I think is kind of a Gardner Minshew-esque, just kind of plays, with his hair on fire, has a lot of fun. And I think guys respond to that too. So I don't think it's going to be a cakewalk, but I definitely think Ohio State wins this. I love the over on this. I think there's going to be a lot of points scored. And then this, 6.5 is I think that's I'm taking Ohio State on that. Yeah. Then they're going to win by double digits.
Hack, what about you? You taking Ohio State minus 6.5?
Yeah, I think ultimately they're going to be able to pull away. They've shown unbelievable explosiveness. And the funny thing is even if Olave and Wilson opt out, their 5, 6, and 7 are 1s or 2s at 80% of the of the programs out there right now, and that's a good luxury to have in today's world.
They'll probably call up some of these guys they got coming in.
Shoot, dude, who knows? But these, I like I said, I really believe in Ryan Day. I think he's a hell of a football coach. He's a football guy. And I think I think he's going to have those guys motivated.
Agreed.
Did I ever tell you guys about
I'm going to take Ohio State as well, minus 6.5. For all the points you guys just made. It's kind of a get back at the Pac-12 too. For most of the year, they had to stomach that loss to Oregon early on in the year. Yep. And this is an opportunity to get back out at the guys out west. Let's move on, boys.
Yeah. Hey, real quick, Trevor.
Yeah, go ahead.
I gotta ask you guys, because I have a personal story with Ryan Day. And I might have mentioned this in some of our pregame stuff, but I have to ask. So Ryan Day is the quarterback coach at the Eagles when I'm coming out. It's 2014. So or 2015 season, I guess. But so takes me out to a Mexican restaurant there in Waco called Ninfa's. And we're sitting up there and he's a Hackett can probably attest to this too, being that you've kind of covered him, but he's not an overly personable guy. He's a lot of ball. So it's a pretty dry conversation throughout, which is fun for me, because that's, I feel like I really dig in there. But at the same time too, like I'm kind of trying to present, as best I can. I got the Eagles quarterback coach there with me. So then he asked me 2 questions when we start getting into it's, personal questions, more or less, how'd you like Waco? Where'd you grow up? All that kind of junk. And then it kind of, the tone comes down a little bit when we get serious. And he goes, so I typically like to do these things. And I asked 2 questions. So however you think about this, you just let me know what your answer is. And so he goes, all right, question number 1, and I'd love for you guys to answer this question. It's that question number 1, how many ping pong balls can you fit in a school bus?
Hack.
Go through your thought process, however you do it.
Is it a short bus?
It's a regular bus. I don't know. Regular bus.
I don't know. I mean, probably say 700,000.
Okay. I'm going $1.5 million.
Trevor?
$1.5 million.
Okay. Answers me the same way. Goes okay. Kind of looks around.
What was your answer, Bryce? What was your answer?
Hell if I know. I was trying to sit there and go, okay, if you have, I asked him, Hack, I asked him if there's seats in the bus. I said, are there seats in the bus?
How much volume do
What's
we
my
have?
surface area? What's my surface area I'm dealing with here? But his response was, okay. How did you get to that answer? So I'll ask that question. How did you get to $1.5 million, Trevor?
I thought about 100 balls and how much that would fill up, and that you could probably fit that in the driver's seat. And then I just freaking winged
Multiplier.
Multiplied it by 15. Okay.
Yeah.
Even though there's 30 rows on a bus. Hack, how did you get to 750,000?
This is the first thing that came to my brain.
Okay. So I think I said $1 million, and I had a very similar thought process to Hack. Once the question was just, how many are there seats in the bus? He was like, okay, yes, there's seats in the bus. The whole point was how you got to that answer. Then that was his response. He just said, how did you come up with that? I told him, and he said, okay. Why is a storm drain, in the center of the street, why is it circular?
So water can get in from every side.
Okay, Hack.
They're not all circular. Some of them are square, rectangle.
According to Ryan Day in 2015, they're all circular. So, what would you say?
Bryce, I don't like this activity. I'm going to be completely honest with you.
So this was my point. I was like, Coach, what does this have to do with football? And he said, these were the 2 top questions that Google asked every employee that came into Google. And it had nothing to do with the answer. It's just how they got there. So the ping pong balls in a school bus is, do you actually think about the process it takes to fill up golf balls in a bus and determine a conclusion? Or do you just say, look, this isn't important, $1 million? I don't know. Don't care. The storm drain is more of a comprehensive, basically how your mind would dissect why that would be circular. So I said it so everybody could fit, but the answer on the storm drain is that it's a circular storm drain will never fall through. So in case anybody's wondering, I wasn't drafted by the Eagles. And Ryan Day hasn't talked to me since. So I just had to bring up those 2 questions because I thought they were pretty interesting.
So
please, Trevor.
Conclusion there is that CJ Stroud is in pure misery sitting in meetings at Ohio State because he's asked these types of questions every day. Well, that's good, Bryce. I'm glad that your career went elsewhere. But let's move on. We've got a lot of games to get to here.
Sorry.
We'll get back on track. But it's really good insight to hear about bowl games and all of our experiences working through those. It's a lot of fun. So let's go out to the desert. Fiesta Bowl. We got Notre Dame versus Oklahoma State. Right now, the line is set as Notre Dame is a 2.5-point favorite. Hack, we'll go to you first. What are your thoughts on this Notre Dame team that had a solid year? Obviously, Brian Kelly is now out. They've got some momentum going now, though, with kind of the coaching change from within. And then the Oklahoma State Cowboys, who lose the Big 12 title game by a mere couple of inches to Bryce's Bears. Both of these teams are pretty fired up to play, but what are your thoughts here?
Yeah, I think Notre Dame's going to deal with a few opt-outs, especially on the defensive side of the ball, some big-time playmakers. Ultimately, though, I think that the coaching change, where in most cases I think it would hurt somebody, I think this team has really rallied around, at least on the surface, and what it's presented and shown to all of us. And as a guy that's been in a locker room, and you guys can relate to this, how important that is and how valuable that is to want to play for somebody and have a desire to play for somebody. And I think Freeman really motivated that football team. Just even watching that video when he came in the weight room and just to see the kids' reactions, he's obviously respected, loved, and admired within that program. So I think that's a great thing. And then I think that they also kept Tommy Rees, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's an incredible hire. I think the guy's a really good football mind. He has a lot of personal ties to the program, obviously having played there. And I think I was reading something on Twitter the other day about just his own personal mission and feeling like he had this inside burning loyalty to want to be at Notre Dame and build this thing out and reach its potential. So realistically speaking, getting around all the fluff and all the feeling stuff, I think this Notre Dame team has a unique opportunity. Their schedule, with the flexibility to schedule everyone they wanted, they kind of came out of it relatively unscathed, with the exception of Cincinnati. And I think they're a tough football team. I think they're built for a lot of different scenarios, but I don't think they really have a true identity. So I hope they approach this bowl practice and bowl prep to really find themselves and what they are and what they did well throughout the year, build a package offensively and defensively around that. And I think that they can come out and put together a good showing against a really tough Oklahoma State team, who, to your point, Trevor, just came up just a little bit short and we're in the hunt right there till the end to be a playoff team. So, they're two teams. I've watched more Notre Dame than I have Oklahoma State. I'm sure you guys can probably talk a little bit more about Oklahoma State and their trajectory throughout the season, but I expect it to be a good football game. The lines and stuff, with this being as tight as it is, I got a couple old betting buddies. You stay away from games like this. So for me, I'd lay off and just enjoy the show.
There you go. Bryce, thoughts on Oklahoma State, their chances against the Fighting Irish, and who are you taking with Notre Dame as the 2.5-point favorite?
Yeah, I'm going to take Notre Dame just simply because Marcus Freeman, I think that he's got them fired up. And I really don't know. And Trevor, you and I talked about this on our podcast. It really all revolves around one person. It's Jaylen Warren. If he's okay and he's healthy, I think this team's totally different offensively. If he's not, and more pressure on Spencer Sanders, I think it's just tough offensively. He puts them in bad positions and turns the ball over. Defense can only do so much. So I like Notre Dame in this, and I actually like the under. I think 45.5 is a lot of points. This is going to be a tough fought game. Some guys out, obviously Kyle Hamilton, one of their best players on defense, is opting out. But I think that Marcus Freeman is going to have these guys riled up.
Yeah, I'm actually going to take Oklahoma State in this one. I feel like Spencer Sanders proved me wrong throughout the entire year. We thought he was going to be a lot more Jekyll and Hyde than he was. And unfortunately, the game that he was down and not playing well and turning the ball over was the Big 12 title game. And they still had an opportunity to win right up there until the end. So I think Spencer Sanders bounces back. If he takes care of the ball, they've been, pretty efficient on offense all year. Not great, but efficient enough. And their defense is just pretty stout. So I'm going to take Oklahoma State with a 2.5-point plus 2.5 points in this one. So moving on, go to the Sugar Bowl down in NOLA. Fellas are going to be going to all sorts of fun events, Mardi Gras events, eating good Cajun food, maybe testing their luck at the blackjack table in Harrah's. Who knows? Maybe some guys will be throwing dice on the craps table. But you've got Bryce's Baylor Bears, the Big 12 champions this year, against the 10-win for the first time Ole Miss Rebels and Lane Kiffin. Bryce, we'll start with you on this one.
Yeah.
As the homer, what are your thoughts in this one down in the Bayou?
Yeah, I actually love this matchup. I think this Baylor Ole Miss game is going to be kind of one that Hack just mentioned, that I've got betting buddies. Don't bet on this one. Enjoy the show. This is one of those that I I would probably sit on my couch and just enjoy. A couple different storylines here. Obviously, Lane Kiffin, get your popcorn ready. It's just probably one of the greatest quotes ever, and weirdest quotes all at the same time. Jeff Lebby, who's the OC, was the assistant O-line coach at Baylor when I was there, is now over at or going to be the new OC of Oklahoma. So kind of his coming out party and wanting to end that with a bang. Matt Corral, Jerry Ely, these guys, they've got some guys on offense. To me and Trevor, again, we've talked about this. This is going to be Ole Miss offense versus Baylor defense, and I think Coach Aranda's got this defense playing extremely well, extremely confident. They're playing together. They've got a lot of guys that just fly around to the football, so it's going to be a lot of fun. And then it's really, who plays offense or quarterback on our offense. Is it Gary Bohannon or is it Blake Shapen? I think both present different, types of games, and so it's going to be a lot on Jeff Grimes to who he plays to just play to their strengths. So I love this game. I do have Baylor in this game because I think that there's just, look, defense travels, defense wins championships. We've always known that, even though we're quarterbacks here. I think Baylor does edge Ole Miss in that department and playing defense. So I got Baylor, and then 54.5. Man, I tell you what, man, I do think it's going to be, kind of a back and forth, but I think it's back and forth on a lot more 3 and outs than we think. So I'm going to take the under on 54.5.
Hack, who you going with in this one in the Sugar Bowl?
Yeah, just really hard for me to bet against a 10-win SEC team. It's a tough conference, scratch and claw. I think the veteran quarterback in Matt Corral is going to present some unique challenges. I really like the kid's game. I think he's a gunslinger, plays without fear, and there's something to that. And again, continuing to go back and hit a point that we've talked about over and over again, he's got a lot of time to prepare for this defense. So it's not your typical, shake it off Monday, you're in watching tape and you're trying to turn it all around really fast. He's got a lot of time. They're going to slow things down. I think Kiffin's going to put together a great game plan and be ready to attack it. So for me, I agree with Bryce. I think it has shootout potential. I think it's going to be a really fun game to watch. I think there's going to be a lot of explosive plays involved, but I'm gonna hedge my bet, hedge my side over to the more experienced quarterback, in my opinion, and the guy that I think has a lot of big play potential to ultimately win the game for him.
I agree.
Matt Corral.
I'm going with Ole Miss simply because of Matt Corral and the stability there at quarterback, but also, the Ole Miss Rebels, all those frat houses, all those sorority houses, all the fan faithful are going to fill up the stadium there. What is it, Mercedes-Benz Stadium now, or does it change sponsors, right? They're going to travel. That's
Alfa,
right up
Alfa
there.
Romeo.
We'll see how much green is in there. I think Baylor will travel pretty well, but it will be at least a 60-40 split with a lot of powdered blue. So that's my other difference maker there.
Bryce,
just from an energy standpoint.
Bryce,
yes,
do you have another Morgan Freeman-esque pregame video coming out? Because I can't wait to watch it.
Possibly.
Okay.
Possibly. Right. Yeah.
That might change my thought process.
I was looking for the Penn
Baylor
State
football
one, but they didn't get in the Big 12 championship or Big 10 championship rather. So
That's right. Because they would have been in the Big 12 championship.
They could have been. Anyway, whatever, dude. Take your freaking PB&J and go on. All right, keep going.
Rounding out the New Year's 6 games, we're going to the Peach Bowl, Michigan State versus Pittsburgh, and we all heard
big news that just came out. Yes,
Kenneth Walker is not playing in this game. He is declared for the NFL draft, but news as we speak, Kenny Pickett is declared for the NFL draft and will not be playing in this football game. Guys, with the 2 heavyweight hitters out for each team, is that a huge impact? Obviously, but you got one from either side. Who does this favor more? Who's your pick? Bryce, we'll start with you. The line right now is set at Michigan State -1.5, but that could change even now to a little bit more after Kenny Pickett's departure.
Yep.
Yeah, that's going to change a little bit. I think I like Michigan State a lot better. There's a lot that runs through Kenny Pickett, and a lot that runs through Kenneth Walker in his own right. But I think that there's an opportunity there for Michigan State to put it on Pitt, not knowing, I don't even know who the backup for Kenny Pickett is, as do probably most of the country. So I'd love to see him have a coming out party, but at the same time, I think Michigan State's gonna have a decent edge here, and would think that Bet Rivers would have a few more points on the Michigan State side for this deal. So yeah, I got Michigan State. Should be a big impact that Kenny Pickett's leaving. Kudos to him. Great season. Wish him all the best.
Trevor, what do you got?
Yeah, man, that's two guys that, Bryce, to your point a little earlier, I just don't, I get it. I just don't agree with it. You ride with these guys all year long. Their insurance policies, if you're a potential first round pick, you've got insurance policies. Not that means anything with the ability to still get hurt playing a football game, but I could just not stomach. And again, I wasn't a first round guy, right? So it wasn't even in the question, but I couldn't stomach just kind of leaving my team out there to dry, right? This still is a big football game. If they were going to play in the college football playoff, obviously they're still playing. I don't know. I've always had a hard time with these guys opting out, but that being said, you don't have your quarterback for Pitt. He is your everything. That takes you down tremendously. There will be a guy in there that can be manageable, for Michigan State running the football. I'm taking Michigan State in this one, regardless what the line ends up being. I think Michigan State is a good football team, and will run away with this one now specifically pretty easily.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think losing Kenny's huge. I think Michigan State's Achilles heel has been their defense, and specifically their defensive backfield, giving up explosives. And I think it was a great opportunity for Kenny to come in and pick them apart. Now I think, although Kenneth Walker was a massive part of Michigan State's offense, I think they have enough guys outside to be able to make some plays and get things rolling. So for me, I like Michigan State, and I think that line's definitely going to increase. But listen, fellas, ladies and gentlemen, before we get headed to the best of the rest, we got a quick message from one of our sponsors, BetterHelp. Is there something that is preventing you from achieving your goals or interfering with your happiness? If there is, let me tell you guys about BetterHelp. Professional help done securely online. Check out BetterHelp.com/field. BetterHelp will assess your individual needs and match you with your own licensed professional therapist to allow you to connect in a safe and private online environment. It's so convenient. You can start communicating in less than 48 hours. BetterHelp is not a crisis line. It's an avenue to accessing professional therapy without having to sit in an uncomfortable waiting room. BetterHelp has licensed professionals who specialize in depression, stress, anxiety, as well as relationship and grief counseling. You can message your counselor at any time and get timely, thoughtful responses. Plus, you can schedule weekly videos or phone sessions. Find your particular expertise you need online. Don't limit yourself to the counselors located near you, and do it in a manner that is more affordable than traditional offline counseling. Financial aid is available. So many people have been using BetterHelp that they are recruiting additional counselors in all 50 states. I want you to start living a happier life today. As listeners, you'll get 10% off your first month by visiting betterhelp.com/field. Join over 1 million people who have taken charge of their mental health. Again, that's BetterHelp, HELP.com/field today.
Awesome. Appreciate BetterHelp for being such a great sponsor of ours on the After Dark show. Guys, let's roll into some of the best of the rest bowl games here. We'll fly through these super quickly. Starting with the Alamo Bowl down in San Antonio. I'll start off on this one, being a homer, of course. Oregon travels down to the 2-1-0 to take on Oklahoma, a team that up until this point has gone through a bit of chaos. Obviously, with the departure of Lincoln Riley, Bob Stoops comes in as a Band-Aid. Now they've got their guy. and they're ready to rock. Caleb Williams is going to be playing in this game, which I think is huge. And I'm just going to go with Oklahoma in this one. Simple as that. Oklahoma's the 4.5-point favorite. I will take them in that. I think it's going to be a pretty close game to start out, but Oklahoma will pull away late and kind of start the new tenure for Brent Venables out on a high note. I'm taking Oklahoma minus 4.5. Bryce?
Yeah, I actually have Oregon in this game. I think Oregon's going to play a little bit better than Oklahoma. There's some shambles. There's some drama in Norman, regardless of how good Venables is and you know, the company coming in to coach them next year. So I got Oregon in this game.
Yeah, Bryce, I think I'm kind of leaning towards you. I mean, I think it's going to be a hell of a football game. Obviously, both programs are dealing with coaching changes, and there's a lot that goes into that. But I think Oregon's proven the ability to beat some good football teams outside of their conference. And you know, I gotta side. Like I said, I gotta roll with the Ducks.
All right, moving on. The Outback Bowl.
That's gonna be a good game.
Penn State Nittany Lions take on the Arkansas Razorbacks in the Outback Bowl. Hack, we'll start with you. Penn State's the favorite at minus 2.5 right now. Do you think that they cover that? And if so, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, so quick points. I think Clifford coming back's huge. He's going to be the heart and soul of the offense and really going to drive it. They have shown the inability to run the football every week in, week out, haven't shown any life in that aspect of offensive football. So I really think it's going to be a heavy lift on 14 shoulders, but I think he's built for it. Defensively, I think Penn State is built for the physical matchup that they're going to see with this Arkansas team. I think Sam Pittman and the job he's done there, instilling a very physical brand of old school football, is going to be fun to watch. And I think it's really going to be one of those classic clashes. Good brand, hard-nosed football, physical from start to finish. But ultimately, I think Clifford and Dotson and a few of those guys are going to be able to rip off a couple big ones and give them a good chance to win the football game. But I do think it's going to be really close. I'm not even going to mess with lines, but I think it's going to be a really good football game.
Bryce?
Oh man, what has he do it? Not so fast, Tack. I like Arkansas in this game. KJ Jefferson, Kendall Briles. I just think they have the offense rolling. I think we saw, you know, Penn State struggle against, you know, Bo Nix and what Auburn brings. I think KJ Jefferson provides a totally different dynamic than you know, even what Auburn brought to Happy Valley. And I love your eyebrows. Keep those eyebrows coming.
They won that game.
I know, but I'm saying that they struggled. That's the point. They struggled. So I actually love this game even better. Arkansas big, boys. Arkansas big. I'm gonna take the over on this as well.
All right, I'm gonna go with Hack. I'm side with Hack on this one. I'm going Penn State, but it will be a fantastic football game. Another one of those really narrow lines there, so you know it's going to be a good one. I just think Penn State outlasts Arkansas in the physicality department for 4 quarters. On to the Gator Bowl. Wake Forest versus Texas A&M. Texas A&M.
Do we even have a quarterback at A&M right now?
They announced today that they will be starting former walk-on, and I couldn't even give you his name, but he's a lefty.
Wake Forest by a million.
Yeah, there you go. Wake Forest, you know, of course, was kind of working its way through the ACC at times. At one point or another, that they were the favorite to win the conference. But here we are, Texas A&M, Wake Forest. Hack, we'll start with you. You got the Aggies minus 5.5 as the favorite, or are you taking Wake Forest?
Yeah, well, I think Texas A&M, when you look at their roster from a talent standpoint, I don't think you could argue. They're definitely probably top 15 in talent over their entire roster in the country. I think that's going to be hard to compete with. I do think Wake Forest has had a great year. Very happy for the success they've had. This would be a huge win for that program. But again, it's bowl games. There's a lot that goes into it. Even though they are starting a walk-on, I think Jimbo has shown a propensity to be able to prepare quarterbacks in a unique manner. And really, I don't think he's going to have to ask them to do much. I think the defense is going to be able to keep them in the game, probably create some turnovers. I like A&M.
Yeah, I'll go next. I agree with everything you're saying, Hack, but similar to the point with Pittsburgh earlier, when you don't have a quarterback or your quarterback that's really had any meaningful reps all year, I just think it's going to be very difficult to get something going. And you're talking about a walk-on who really has no experience playing in games. And maybe he comes out and he's like a freshman Baker Mayfield, right? Comes out and is just slinging it around, but I don't foresee that. And for that reason, I'm gonna go against my team here, and I'm gonna say Wake Forest is going to win this football game. Although, of course, I hope Texas A&M can pull it out, because A&M's defense is still there, right? I mean, they have a stout defense, and if they can neutralize Wake Forest in any way, shape, or form, it could be a close game. But go with Wake Forest.
Love it. I'm with you guys. Wake Forest over under. I don't know. I think it's going to be a low scoring game simply because of what you just said, Trevor. I think A&M has a fantastic defense, most likely better than Wake Forest defense. But I just think without a quarterback, it's so hard to move. And we don't have Spiller. He's going to draft. So I think their backfield is going to be really trying to find out, how we can move the ball. So this is going to be a really good test for Jimbo's contract. That's for sure.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to the Cheez-It Bowl, the Clemson Tigers, a team that we've seen obviously in the college football playoff very often in the last several years, taking on the Iowa State Cyclones, who came into the year with high hopes and really just never got to that point, but played good enough football to get themselves in this position. Iowa State is currently the favorite by 1.5 points. Hack, we'll start with you. Do you think this is unfair to a Clemson team that's certainly having a down year, or do you think that they're pretty spot on?
Well, listen, I don't think it's unfair. I mean, Clemson's earned it. Just the way they've played, they've earned. They're earning. They have to sit down and take their dose of medicine here. But the beauty of it is they get to go out and prove people wrong if that's the case. Clemson has been the most interesting team that I've watched in probably my lifetime in terms of the drastic drop-off in performance. When you had a guy who played really well last year, came in at the quarterback position in DJ, and has really struggled. And when you talk about their defense, losing Venables definitely is going to, I think, create a lot of issues. Not quite sure about the guy that they put in an interim. I know they hired from within, and they had a few options out there. I thought it was a very interesting choice on Dabo's side. So I think you're gonna see Clemson trying to work out some kinks, and that's where I think the stability in Iowa State, and having Brock Purdy, who's been there and been through the ringer, I think Campbell's got a lot of good stuff to him, and he's got a really good team. If you saw on senior day, he really cares about the kids, and I think going back to that point of sending guys out, I think Iowa State could win this football game, and I think it'd be huge for them moving forward.
Bryce,
this might be one of my favorite matchups. I think there's a lot of, again, I've said it before, but a lot of storylines here. But I think that Brett Venables will be on the sideline for Clemson one last time. Trevor, your insight into, what Brett said in his presser about how much Dabo and that culture shaped him as a man, and it kind of preparing him for this opportunity. I just think that there's going to be a lot of one kind of outpouring for the kids, but I think they're going to play for him. I think they're going to play really hard for him. How many times do you see Mike Tyson win all 12 rounds? You probably don't. So this is one of those things that, man, can Clemson put a stamp on, what was a very disappointing year to go into next season, and just kind of wipe the slate clean. I think Dabo's going to have these guys ready. Iowa State is another great, storyline. I think a lot of guys had them at number 2, possibly number 1 in the Big 12, coming off of a big win in the Fiesta Bowl against Oregon last year. Matt Campbell, Brock Purdy, Breece Hall, the kind of the bell cows of that group. It was kind of and I think in all intents and purposes for us as fans, a disappointing season. I know that every time that you get out there, it's just tough to win. But I do think that I have Clemson winning this game. I think they're gonna pull it out for Brett. leave him on a good note. I think it's going to be a really tough go for Breece Hall and Brock Purdy and those guys, because I just think that this Clemson defense is really going to show off for Brett Venables. He's going to coach one of his best games. So I got Clemson in this game, and then I got the under.
Yeah, I'm actually going with Iowa State in this one for a lot of the similar reasons. You got two great coaching staffs, but Matt Campbell knows how to get his guys going, right? They did it last year against Oregon. Now they got an opportunity to knock off another heavyweight. Although it's a down year, it's still another heavyweight opportunity for the Cyclones to come from Little Ames and go do it on the big stage. So I'm going to take Iowa State in this one, although, again, going to be a great matchup with a close line there. The Citrus Bowl, Iowa versus Kentucky. You've got a Big Ten powerhouse, dig your hand in the dirt, versus a Kentucky team that has proven they can play some pretty physical football as well. Bryce, we'll start with you on this one. Do you think Iowa is going to manhandle little Kentucky basketball school around, or is Kentucky finally going to put their big boy shoes on and show that they are welcome in the ring?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even sure how you say his name. I think it's Levis. You know, Levis. There you go, quarterback for Kentucky. I like him. He's got a whole TikTok following too. He's kind of this dual threat guy in terms of quarterback and TikToker. So that's why I'm going with Kentucky. That's how that boils down. I've watched zero football from Kentucky, and I've watched enough Iowa to bet against them every time. So I'm taking Kentucky on this, and the over under. Sure, I'm going to take the under on the 44.5.
I'm going to take Iowa in this one, guys. I think. Baby. Mostly because I just want to go against Bryce, but no, I think Iowa, they had to play in a couple of very physical football games this year. They're a little up and down at times. Hack, I know you followed them really closely this year.
Yeah.
But I just think from a physicality standpoint, they have what it takes to outlast Kentucky for 4 quarters. So I'm going Iowa in this one with a 2.5, with adding on 2.5 points. Right. Hack, what are your thoughts there, man?
I'm going Kentucky. I agree with Bryce. My biggest thing with Iowa is I don't think offensively they've shown consistency in one department throughout the entirety of the season to have some form of backbone to be able to move the football. At one point in time, they were averaging 1.6 yards per carry over like a 4 or 5 game stretch. Starting the year, they relied heavily on the run game and kind of reacted off of the play action in creative ways to get guys open because they don't have a ton of separators outside. Who can win in one-on-one type of scenarios. So I think Kentucky's built different. They play in the SEC. They're a little bit more geared to be able to put up points, and I'm rocking with Kentucky.
Let's go to the Holiday Bowl. UCLA versus NC State. Another really close line here. To be honest with you, I didn't watch either of these teams all that often this year. I'm going with NC State in this one. I know UCLA is still rebuilding with Chip Kelly, and they're just not on that national stage yet. I'm taking the Bet Rivers bet here and going NC State as the favorite.
That's tough. I got DTR, and then look, this is a home game from UCLA. This is in San Diego. You got to go all the way across the country for NC State. I'm going to take UCLA, Chip Kelly, and the boys. -1's way. Yeah. I like the home team there. 59.5. We'll take the under there. That's a lot of points.
Yeah. I think it's a lot of points. But I'm going to go with Trevor. I like NC State. I think they're a hot football team. I think Devin Leary's played some really good football. He had a hell of a year. Broke a lot of Phillip Rivers records down there this past season. And I think I look for him to keep that up. And if it is going to be a matchup of quarterbacks, I think Devin's shown the ability to make some plays and some big moments for them throughout this season, especially in the latter half. And I think he's going to keep that going.
I like it. Bryce, why don't you tell our listeners?
I got a quick message
about the
quick
short
message about
here.
stamps.com. That's it. Before we continue on, if you're looking for ways to skip the trip to the post office and dodge all that hectic holiday shopping traffic, Why not save time and money with Stamps.com? Stamps.com lets you compare rates, print labels, and access exclusive discounts on UPS and UPSS services all year long. It just makes sense, especially if your business sends more mail and packages during the holidays. Whether you're selling online or running an office or side hustle, Stamps.com can save you so much time, money, and stress during the holidays. How? By allowing you to access all the post office and UPS shipping services you need without taking the trip and get discounts you can't find anywhere else, like up to 40% off UPS, USPS rates, and 76% off UPS. In 2021, if you're still going to the post office instead of using Stamps.com, it's like taking the stairs instead of the elevator. Just going up a couple of floors, sure, take the stairs. Walking up 30 flights a day, you could use a break. And if you spend more than a few minutes a week dealing with mail and shipping, Stamps.com is a lifesaver. You'll save so much time and money, you'll wonder why you didn't start sooner. So join Stamps.com now and save time and money with this holiday season, and sign up with our promo code DARK for a special offer that includes a 4-week trial, free postage, and a digital scale. No long-term commitments or contracts. Just go to Stamps.com, click the microphone at the top of the page, and enter code DARK. Sorry for a few mishaps there, boys.
Stamps.com. Thank you guys for supporting us on the After Dark show. All right, gents, let's get into just a few quick games here. Quick fire. What I'm going to do, I'm going to read off the game and the matchup. I'll read the betting odds, and then just one word answer who you got with the odd, not necessarily in the game, but with the actual line here, who you got. And the last two will be straight up, right? Because they're pick'ems. But let's start here, and I'll just call your name out. So with the Las Vegas Bowl, we've got Wisconsin taking on Arizona State. Wisconsin is the 7-point favorite, and the over-under is set at 42 points. Hack, who are you taking in this one?
Wisconsin and the over.
Bryce.
Same.
I am doing the same. Wisconsin and the over. Music City Bowl. Tennessee, right there in their home state, versus Purdue. Right now, Bet Rivers has the line at Tennessee as the 4-point favorite, and the over-under at 63.5. Bryce, we'll start with you.
I hate doing this because I'm a big Tennessee fan, but I got Purdue, and I'm going the under.
Hack.
Flip-flop it. Tennessee and the under.
I'm going Tennessee as well, and I will also go the under. The Fenway Bowl, SMU versus Virginia.
Offensive showdown.
I am going to go first on this one. I'm taking SMU, Tanner Mordecai, and the boys, and I'm gonna go the over.
Oh my gosh!
Absolute shootout of a ball game.
What happened to the pregame talk?
54 to 49.
What was all that 1 in a million we talked about?
54 to 49, folks. You heard it here first. Bryce.
54 to 49. Wow. I love you. I'm taking Virginia in the under.
Yeah, I'm with you. Virginia in the under. Shoot. Come on, Trevor.
SMU in the over is tough.
I may be losing a little money on that one. And last but certainly not least, boys, the Pinstripe Bowl. Maryland versus Virginia Tech. Hack, we'll start with you. The over-under is set at 54.5.
God. All right. I'm going Maryland, the over.
Bryce.
I've been wanting to fight in Tua Juniors as well. Maryland. I'm gonna take the under. I'm gonna take the under there. There's not much offense in Blacksburg.
Yeah, I'm going Maryland as well.
Park though, Bob.
I'm taking the under, Maryland and the under. So guys, that's a lot of our bowl games upcoming. Before we kind of wrap up here for the evening, let me tell you guys about another one of our sponsors over at HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit delivery service. Everyone knows that the holidays can be hectic, but HelloFresh keeps things simple with recipes that can cut back on annoying meal prep and cleanup so you can spend less time in the kitchen and more time celebrating with your friends and family. HelloFresh offers more than 50 menu and market items to choose from every week, including vegetarian, calorie smart, and gourmet options. The variety is plenty, and the ingredients come directly from the farm to your front door. You get the convenience without skipping out on all the quality of food. Recipes like balsamic and fig beef tenderloin or pecan crusted salmon. Holiday meals feel special without the high cost of delivery or dining out. Or you can get some comfort food like chicken sausage and sweet potato soup for a cold winter night. My wife and I do HelloFresh, and it really is simple. You don't have to go buy all the different things. We did a crusted chicken the other night, and it was like gourmet in the restaurant. Super easy to put together, follow the directions, and it comes out, and I get props from my wife. So it's
Dude, we had shepherd's pie.
There.
We had shepherd's pie the other night. Dude,
we did the shepherd's pie as well, and it was fantastic. So
yeah, it was bomb.
Go to HelloFresh.com/Field of 1214 and use code Field of 1214 for up to 14 free meals and 3 free gifts. That's a lot, guys. That's HelloFresh.com/Field of 1214 and use code Field of 1214 for 14 free meals. HelloFresh, America's #1 meal kit. Thank you, HelloFresh. Thank you, Stamps.com. Thank you, BetterHelp. And as always, thank you to our title sponsor in Bet River Sportsbook for all the lines tonight. Guys, before we wrap up tonight, we already talked about Kenny Pickett. We talked about Kenneth Walker. I'm going to go through this list of a few other players opting out. You got Kayvon Thibodeau, Kyle Hamilton, Kyron Williams, and Traylon Burks. Guys, these are all big-time players for their teams that are opting out. Maybe it's all for the same reason. Maybe it's other reasons. Whatever it looks like, they're going to the NFL. What are your thoughts, Bryce? You already shared yours a little bit, how you don't necessarily agree with it, but put yourself in their shoes. You've got an opportunity. Maybe you've got an agent telling you that you're going, in the first round. You've got a lot of money on the table. You're not going to play for it all. Hack, what are your thoughts here? Yeah. Do you agree with it? Or do you think, they're selling out their team like I alluded to earlier?
Yeah, so I think you made a lot of great points. And I think it just comes down to the kid's DNA makeup, right? I mean, I understand that there's business decisions that have to be made, but ultimately I could never level with any of this because I couldn't leave those guys out to dry. And specifically with my whole college experience at Penn State, as a team and as a locker room, we'd been through so much. The thought of that would have never crossed my mind. But what I do think is that with these teams, a lot of the guys that are opting out are on good football teams. And I think it's just a little bit more of a motivation for the NCAA and the college football playoff committee to want to expand the playoff, because now you're going to have more guys that stay in and ultimately going to generate a little bit more revenue for you because you're going to get an extra game. And just give them that little motivation to be the Cinderella dream. If the Kenny Pickett fighting Pittsburgh Panthers down there and fighting Kenny Pickett's, give them a chance to duke it out with the best and see what happens with the season they have and reward them for it. So I think it's just a little bit more motivation to expand. And I think that's a solution for it. But I also do see their side of it. And like I said, everyone's got to make a decision for themselves and they got to live with it. But I could have never done that. Just too much invested with those guys. And it's just college relationships are a lot different than any other relationship that you have, similar to high school. I mean, but I just could never do that to those guys.
It's the same for me. I can't stomach it myself thinking about it, but everybody, to your point, Hack, everybody's got to make a decision for themselves. And if that's in the best interest for them and their future, then I support them. But, it's similar to my thoughts on these high school kids going and chasing NIL money, or even college kids going to chase NIL money. The money will be there. I know that there's a risk, but there's a risk in everything. You know, stick around, play football, the long haul. If you just, dig your nose in and do things right and play hard, if you're good enough, all that stuff's going to come with it. But that's just my conservative thought on it. Bryce, any closing thoughts there on players opting out?
I mean, I think you guys kind of summed it up pretty well. I think there's both the DNA of the player. I think there's also that, the money's always going to be there. I think that's both of the points that I would have made. Kind of going back to our bowl experiences as well. I mean, you just don't get 5 days in a different location where it's just you and your guys. You just don't get that, much. And to be able to have that, Trevor, to your point, solidifying those relationships, it's just very different. When you are in college, you're playing Call of Duty, you're going, beer and wings, parties, and then come back to the whatever, your apartment or townhome or house or whatever. In the NFL, man, guys come home from practice and they go home to families. So that it's just a different camaraderie. It's not that it's better or worse. It's different. So, man, if you have one more game to go out with your guys in a way that, kind of solidifies, especially for Kenny Pickett. I mean, that one's a weird one to me. Traylon Burks is a weird one to me. Maybe Kenneth Walker as well. Kyle Hamilton and Kyron Williams, I kind of get it with it, Notre Dame. There's a lot of, that one's just different. But, if you're not a guy where your coach leaves, or, you're kind of on the brink of first and second round, because I understand that's some contract stuff too there. But, I always just want to play with the guys, play with the guys, and money will always be there. Football becomes a business very quick. And I think these guys will understand that very quick.
Yeah.
I think we can all kind of attest to that. So, man, for the purity of the sport, purity of the game, going back to when you were in 7th and 8th grade, just throwing around, on the playground, this is your last time to kind of do that before it gets just kind of in a different mindset. So I'm with you guys. So.
Yeah, I agree. And speaking of hanging with the guys, the season's almost, come to a close. So as we near Christmas, we will be taking Saturday, of course, off, which is Christmas Day. Hope you all of our listeners have a wonderful holiday season and a Merry Christmas with your friends and family, or whoever you spend your Christmas with. So we'll be off next week. As of right now, we have 2 shows planned for the rest of the year. We will have a New Year's Day show as we react to the New Year's Eve college football playoff games, and also preview and potentially even react live to some of those New Year's 6 games. And then we will be live in Indy for the national championship game. A lot more to come on that. We'll give you some more details on our New Year's show with what that looks like. But 2 more shows coming up on the Field of 12 after dark for Trevor Knight, Christian Hackenberg, and Bryce Petty. Thanks for hanging with us. Merry Christmas.